Rain poured like the sky had broken its heart. Windshield wipers fought against sheets of water as the black Mercedes rolled slowly down the empty highway. Inside, behind the tinted glass, sat a man who had everything: money, power, a name everyone in the city whispered with awe. Yet tonight, Alexander Reed, the 38-year-old CEO of Reed Enterprises, felt emptier than the road stretching before him. His suit was pressed, his watch gleamed under the dash light, but his eyes told another story, of a man who had built an empire yet lost the warmth of being human. That he was driving with no destination. Just motion. Just noise to drown out the silence that followed him everywhere. Rain had always reminded him of that night 3 years ago when his wife, Claire, walked out, saying she couldn't love a man who treated life like a business deal. Since then, his mansion had become a glass cage, clean, beautiful, and utterly lifeless, but fate has a strange way of shaking the walls we hide behind through the blur of rain. He saw a small figure on the roadside, a woman, soaked to the bone, waving her arm frantically. Beside her, under a broken umbrella, a small child sat slumped in her arms. He frowned, instinctively tightening his grip on the steering wheel. Normally, he'd drive past. People always wanted something when they saw his car. But something about the way she stood there, shivering, desperate, eyes filled with terror, made him press the brake. The car stopped, the woman stumbled toward the window and knocked, rain dripping from her hair onto the glass. "Please, my child is sick," she said, her voice trembling but strong enough to pierce through the storm. "He's burning with fever, I can't get a taxi." "Please, sir, please." For a long second, Alexander didn't move. His rational mind screamed no. He had business in the morning, meetings, reputation. But her voice, it wasn't just a plea. It was a cry from someone who had run out of every option. He unlocked the door. "Get in," he said flatly. She slid inside, holding the small boy close. Her hands shook, lips pale from cold. The child's head rested on her shoulder, his breathing shallow, his little face flushed with fever. "Thank you," she whispered, water dripping onto his expensive leather seats. He looked at the boy. "How old?" "6, she said softly. "His name is Daniel. He hasn't stopped burning since morning. I've been to every clinic nearby, but," her voice broke. "They refused without advance payment." Alexander's jaw tightened. He said nothing, just pressed the accelerator and sped through the rain. He didn't know why he cared. Maybe it was the fear in her voice, or maybe because once, long ago, he had held a small hand just like that, before work and ambition had stolen everything that mattered. At the hospital, he strode to the counter, dripping water, and said in a tone that silenced everyone, "Emergency. No questions. Treat him now." The nurses obeyed instantly. Money spoke faster than compassion. Sometimes hours passed. The child's fever broke near dawn. The doctor smiled. "He'll be fine. Just exhaustion and infection. He's lucky." When Alexander turned, the woman, her name was Emily, was standing there, tears of relief falling freely. "I don't know how to thank you," she said. "You saved my son." He looked at her, something shifting deep inside. "You don't owe me anything," he said. But even as he walked away, he knew that wasn't true. Because something about her and that child had awakened a part of him he thought had died long ago. Days passed, and somehow, their paths crossed again. Emily came to his office with a small paper bag. "For you," she said shyly. Inside was a homemade sandwich and a small thank you note written in a child's handwriting. "Thank you, Mr. Alex. I want to be strong like you." He couldn't remember the last time someone thanked him without expecting something in return. She told him she was a part-time teacher, struggling after her husband's death, doing everything she could to keep Daniel in school. She smiled through her pain, something he had never learned to do. Over the weeks, Alexander found reasons to see them again. Dinners, small drives, even helping Daniel with his homework when Emily worked late. He told himself it was charity, but deep down, it wasn't. It was healing. Then one night, as Rain returned to the city, Emily came running to his mansion gate, panicked again, holding Daniel's medical papers. "He needs surgery," she said, breathless. "I can't afford it." Without hesitation, Alexander nodded. "He'll have it tomorrow. I'll take care of everything." But that night, alone in his study, he realized something terrifying. He wasn't doing this out of guilt anymore. He was doing it because he cared. And for the first time in years, caring didn't feel like weakness, it felt like life. The surgery was a success. When Daniel woke up, the first person he asked for was Alexander. "Are you still here?" he whispered weakly. Alexander smiled faintly. "I'm not going anywhere." Emily's eyes filled with tears. She placed her hand over his. "You've done more for us than anyone ever has. You gave me hope again." He looked at her, the woman who had once stood in the rain begging for help, now standing strong, radiant in her gratitude. "No," he said softly. "You gave me hope." Months later, the story of the cold CEO who stopped his car in the rain spread through the city like wildfire. They said love had changed him, that a single act of kindness had rewritten his entire life, and when people asked Alexander Reed why he did it, he would always smile and say, "Because sometimes, the ones we save, end up saving us." The rain that once reminded him of loss now brought memories of second chances. He no longer drove alone. In the passenger seat sat Emily, and in the back, little Daniel laughing, proof that no heart, no matter how lonely, stays cold forever when love finds its way in. A rain returned again that evening, soft and slow, painting the city in silver reflections. Alexander watched from his office window, his tie loosened, his thoughts far from the million-dollar contracts on his desk. A year had passed since that stormy night when he stopped his car and met Emily and Daniel, but the memory still played in his mind like a scene from another lifetime. His company had changed, and so had he. Employees who once whispered about his coldness now found him patient, even kind. He smiled more often, asked about people's families, and personally approved charity funds for sick children. But behind all those changes, there was one truth: he owed it all to the woman and child who had walked into his world when he least expected it. Emily had found a full-time job at a community school, one of the foundations he funded. Every evening, after work, she would stop by his office with Daniel, sometimes bringing dinner, sometimes just laughter. It had become a quiet ritual, 3 lives slowly weaving into something that felt like family. Yet Alexander, despite all his success and all the warmth they brought, carried one fear: that they could disappear, like everyone else he'd loved. He had learned the hard way that happiness often slipped through his fingers when he tried to hold it too tightly. That night, when they visited, Emily noticed his silence. "You're thinking too much again," she said softly, setting down the thermos she brought. Her voice was calm, like a melody that soothed the storm in him. He looked at her. "I'm thinking about how fast life changes. How one night can change everything." Emily smiled faintly. "It wasn't one night, Alex. It was what you chose to do in that night. You stopped." He met her gaze. "And what if I hadn't? Then maybe Daniel wouldn't be here," she said, her eyes glistening. "But maybe you wouldn't be here either." "Not really." He didn't answer. Instead, he looked at the small boy playing with a toy car near the couch, laughing, healthy, alive. That laughter had filled the emptiest parts of his house, made it a home again, but life, as always,